Hi, and welcome to week 12 of our course. I want to give you a brief overview of what we're looking at this week and the expectations. First of all, I want to remind you that we talked a little bit about the podcast in last week's video. If you didn't watch that, I'm sure not everybody watches every video, but please go back and do that because the ideas behind storytelling, I think, will impact the podcast, and I did go over that a little bit as well. You'll notice that I'm running a little behind this week, and I apologize, but in the interest of fairness, I have moved all of the due dates back one day. So instead of the 12th, I've moved the podcast and the attendance back to the 13th. I want to be fair to you guys, to let you have that extra time to do that, and then I'm going to be notifying everyone via email about that as well. But this week, we have kind of the usual suspects. We have some reading, a critical essay piece, which is more of a mechanical piece about how to write a critical essay. And then in the textbook, it's more about persuasive writing and persuasive speaking. So all of that more or less speaks for itself and should be rather familiar at this point, variations on a theme. So what I want to focus on in our brief time via video is I want to go over the requirements here for the podcast. And I want to remind everybody again, hopefully you watched the last video. Please go back and watch it if you didn't for week 11. But we are working toward a 2 to 3 minute podcast. You may pick a topic from the course that you're interested in and that you want to learn more about. Something that has to do with critical thinking or information, finding or utilizing information. There's some examples here, but any of our topics will do. And then you want to just break that down a little bit more, give it some cultural perspective, give it, just beef it up, give it some meat, give it some weight, and you can really take it in any direction that's appropriate that you would like to do. This should be fun. This should help you focus a little bit on research, but a lot more on delivery. So obviously you want to have this well planned for, and you want to have a script going into it because you want the delivery to be strong and professional. I've listed some free apps that you may want to consider. There's no need to purchase any tools to complete the project, but I would encourage you to use something that gives you the option to edit at least a little bit so that your final project is polished and well put together. And I will remind you that you can submit via a link. You can submit a media recording, which would be the sound file, or the file upload itself. So I'm looking for and grading the actual podcast, the actual 2 to 3 minutes of audio, and I'm grading it via this rubric below so you can see exactly what I expect. This isn't just reading a script. This should be smooth and expressive and conversational, and it should continue to build on the principles that we've discussed in this class so far for not only finding and evaluating, but then in turn synthesizing and presenting information. So that's our podcast assignment. That's due, again, I moved that back one day to Monday. And then the attendance for this week is an examination of the UK core curriculum. And that's just an example that a fellow instructor had shared that is an easy piece for any UK student to evaluate. And we're going to use that as an opportunity for you to practice your critical writing. All I'm asking you to do is to look at the website for the UK core curriculum and to think back on your own experiences and to answer some questions. Do you think the program should be required? Do you think it should be modified? Should it be abolished? I want you to support your answer, and I want 2 full, clear paragraphs. So just thinking about critical writing and supporting your argument. So that's it for this week. We're just allowing you to focus on that podcast, give you some extra time to do that. And these readings are really light this week as well. So I think you'll find a lot of the content to be a review, and hopefully you'll be able to then just spend the time that you need focusing on the podcast and getting that in. Please don't forget to set a reminder and get that turned in on time, and get those 50 points. Pay attention to the rubric, and that will really help you out as you head into the end of the course. After the podcast, we are just focusing on our final paper, which is this field review. We have a peer review that we're going to perform, but then the bulk of the points are going to be this 150. So I really want to head in strong to the end of the semester, and that 50 points on the podcast will help you do just that. Reach out to me ASAP if you have questions or concerns. Thanks.